Salisbury holds its 51st annual show, Rhodesia's shop window with first-class window dressing. All-out efforts to attract public attention were made by commerce and industry, agriculture and mining. With so much information available on so many aspects of Rhodesia's economy, it would take the best part of a year to absorb it all. The Jeep assembly crew of the Rhodesia and Nyasaland Army Service Corps fairly flung a Jeep together, and although we helped them along a little, it was obvious that they weren't working on the so much per hour system that I always strike in my garage. Now, to give you a detailed description of the job, and there you have a Jeep. Blimey, and it goes too. One of the great arena attractions was the Traber Troop. These daredevils of the high wire tried things out for themselves, and once satisfied that it was safe, they took the whole family for a walk. I bet if they have nightmares, they dream of Frankenstein with a pair of wire cutters. I'm sorry, sir. How was I to know he sold life insurance? The Governor of Southern Rhodesia, Sir Humphrey Gibbs, visits the New Citizens Advice Bureau in Salisbury. Any citizen can take any problem bothering him to the Bureau, and every effort will be made to find a solution. There are 450 such advice bureaus throughout Great Britain. I don't know what Sir Roy Walensky would say, but the Governor next assumed the role of engine driver to open the model railway in Centenary Park, Bulawayo. This venture is run by Round Table to raise funds for distressed children. It's a beautiful setting for a model railway, and there's every reason to expect it will be an unqualified success, particularly as it aids such a very worthy cause. Back to Salisbury again, where the Rhodes National Gallery stages the 3rd Federal Art Exhibition, certainly the most satisfying yet held. Among modern items to catch the eye was a beautiful mobile called Mobile Birds. There was also an iron statue called the Survivor, with a lean and hungry look. As far as the paintings were concerned, there was a pleasing variety of treatment. Art is on the upgrade in the Federation, and there are clear indications that the general public is losing its apathy and reacting to something good and exciting in their midst. There's a charity dancing display in Salisbury in which many different sections of the community take part. There was plenty of imagination shown by the Newsreel school, which simulated practically everything from frogs to moving escalators. Another excellent display was given by the coloured girls from Morgan High School. Among the 17 items, one of the most unusual and graceful was offered by the Hindu school dancers. Flowing saris and eloquent hand movements give such dances tremendous charm. A notable development in the Federation is the growing interest in Volksspiele. The performers came from the Dutch Reformed Youth Group. Roosevelt School staged English folk dances, which are deservedly gaining increased popularity in England itself. Port Herald in Nyasaland lies on the only navigable river route to the Indian Ocean. The area is a paradise for the naturalist, providing a wide field for study. Gathering first-hand information about the valley's reptiles and supplying them to zoos, etc., is Mr. J. Handman, who has lived here for some time. As well as collecting snakes, Mr. Handman has built a very remarkable collection of butterflies. Some are noteworthy for their beauty, others because they are rare. In fact, he has several varieties as yet unnamed. Port Herald is so called after the gunboat which brought the first commissioner to this part of the world. It thrived on the river traffic which came up the Zambezi and Shiri rivers from the Indian Ocean. But as other means of access developed, the town waned and buildings like the hotel became derelict. Today, Port Herald is again on the ascendant, and better communications and freedom from disease are giving the town back importance as the transport centre of the fertile Black Valley. Signs of this renaissance are the new district commissioner's house and the modern boma. The old and the new share a happy coexistence, for it is still a port and it still handles the high cotton yield of the Black Valley. In an atmosphere of the Mississippi which would delight Mark Twain or Edna Ferber, large cargoes are still manhandled aboard the barges and the old stern wheelers. And for years, these picturesque old anachronisms have been threading their way down the Shiri and the Zambezi to the open sea. We believe this story is the most fabulous ever to come out of the Giant Kariba project. It concerns the work of those responsible for Operation Noah. The whole essence of their labours has been the fantastic problems they have faced, such as trying to persuade elephant to swim to safety, and the understanding and techniques they have had to devise to accomplish their errands of mercy. But now Rupert Fothergill and his men are really going out looking for trouble, a couple of tons of vicious trouble. And this time trouble comes to meet them in the shape of a female rhino, and her temper hasn't been improved any by the anesthetic dart Rupert has already shot into her at a range of only 3 yards. She led them quite a chase, in spite of carrying enough dope to drop a dozen men in their tracks. But Fothergill's heroes had to get in quick the moment she dropped to prepare the Black Fury for transportation. The first job was to rope her legs, and hope to heaven the ropes would hold, because in spite of receiving another stiff shot of tranquilizer, there was plenty of life in the old girl yet. Full of concern for her welfare, they gave her hatfuls of water to cool her down, but this had the effect of bringing her to. Fothergill will want to study her movements and watch her progress, so they took this opportunity of tagging her ear. Well, now it was time to get her onto her stretcher, an enormous improvised affair, and they gave her something to butt in order to keep her mind off other things. I don't suppose anybody else has ever tried putting a rhino on a stretcher. So on she goes, over she goes, and look out there! Quite a man, this Fothergill, and his quick reaction saved the situation. By sticking to their ropes, they avoided disaster, and finally they managed to lug her on, and they took jolly good care she didn't come unstuck again. So far, the carefully conceived plans had met with success. Now they had to get her to safety. They had a couple of tons of rhino to haul, and it wasn't dead weight. And naturally, there aren't any lorries on an island either. At the water's edge, they hoisted her up a ramp onto a specially improvised raft, another item in the carefully planned campaign. It's extraordinary what these fellows did for this rhino, knowing perfectly well all the time what she would do for them if she had half a chance. And so, as they watched over her like anaesthetists in an operating theatre, she was on her way to the mainland and safety.